In a world on the brink of chaos, Iron Man crashes back into the present, his suit battered and torn, his face grim with the weight of secrets. "Don't trust Captain America," he warns, his words heavy with a burden only he understands. A rift in time has brought him from a future where the Avengers fractured, their loyalties splintered. But as the team grapples with this revelation, a new threat emerges, an alien invasion unlike any Earth has seen before. Amidst the tension between old allies, Superman arrives, determined to protect the planet from the encroaching menace. But with Captain America's trust in the balance and Earth's fate hanging by a thread, can the heroes unite in time? Or will their divided loyalties be their downfall? The Avengers had gathered in the sterile, high-tech conference room of the Avengers Tower, their faces lined with tension. Strange readings had been coming from various corners of the world, shifting tectonic plates, power surges, and strange disruptions in the atmosphere. But nothing had prepared them for what was about to happen. Without warning, the sky above the tower exploded in a fiery blaze of light, followed by a crash so violent that the entire building shook. The team rushed to the observation deck, their hearts racing with anticipation and dread. Below, a dark figure lay sprawled on the rooftop, his suit blackened and cracked, the faint hum of his arc reactor barely audible in the chaos. "Tony!" Steve Rogers' voice was low, edged with worry, as he stepped forward. The figure groaned and slowly stood, revealing the unmistakable, battered form of Iron Man. "Stark, what the hell happened?" Tony staggered, the normally unshakable genius looking disoriented, as if the very fabric of time had been torn apart around him. His armor, usually pristine, was scratched, scorched, and dented, an alarming sign that something truly catastrophic had occurred. The man who had always been brimming with jokes and bravado was now visibly shaken. "Iron Man, returned from the future," Tony said, his voice quiet, the weight of the words sinking in like lead. He staggered toward the table where the team had gathered, his face pale but determined. "And I'm here to tell you that you cannot trust Captain America." The room fell deathly silent. Steve's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening, and the others exchanged confused and uneasy glances. Tony's warning cut deep, and yet the urgency in his tone was undeniable. His warning wasn't just a casual accusation, it was a dire proclamation. "Tony, what are you talking about?" Steve's voice cracked slightly, betrayed by an edge of concern. He stepped forward, but Tony held up a hand, a clear indication to stop. "It's not about the man you think you know, Rogers. The timeline, the future I came from, it's broken. You and I, our paths split, Steve. We went to war against each other, and it cost us everything. The Avengers fractured, and the world paid the price. What does this have to do with me?" Steve asked, a flash of hurt passing through his eyes. He had never been the type to doubt his teammates, but Stark's warning gnawed at him, planting seeds of doubt where there had been none before. "The Captain America you think you know. The hero who never gives up, always fighting for the greater good. In my future, that's not what he became," Tony said, his voice hollow. "You'll see. Just don't trust him. If you want to save this world, that's the first step. We need to act fast. The future's already starting to unravel." The room was thick with tension, as Stark's cryptic warning sent waves of uncertainty through the Avengers. Was this just the rambling of a man broken by time? Or was there something more dangerous lurking beneath the surface? Before anyone could respond, an urgent beep came from the console, snapping everyone to attention. There was something else, something more pressing than their fractured trust. A new threat was emerging. A storm on the horizon. And it was coming from the sky. The sky above Earth darkened as massive, unidentified objects pierced the atmosphere. What started as a flicker of strange lights soon escalated into an ominous, unrelenting storm of descending ships. Their silhouettes, towering, metallic monstrosities, cast a long shadow over the cities below. The invasion had begun. The Avengers were still grappling with Tony's warning when the first of the alien ships slammed into the ground with an earth-shaking force. Buildings crumbled, streets cracked, and chaos erupted as people screamed and fled in every direction. A loud, mechanical hiss echoed as the ships opened, revealing an army of alien soldiers armed with advanced weaponry. They marched forward, their eyes glowing with a cold, calculated malice. "Looks like our friendly neighborhood invasion's begun," Tony said, his voice tight with frustration. He barely had time to check the condition of his suit before the first blast from the aliens' guns sent a shockwave through the air, rattling the ground beneath them. "Move out!" Captain America barked, snapping into action as his shield flew from his arm, striking down a group of aliens with precision. His face was set in grim determination, the weight of Tony's warning still heavy on his mind. Was this invasion tied to the future Stark had warned him about? Or was it something else entirely? Iron Man and Captain America joined forces immediately, each taking on their respective enemies. Stark's repulsors blazed to life, cutting through alien armor as he zipped around the battlefield with an uncanny efficiency. Cap, as always, was on the front lines, his shield clashing against enemy weapons with a fierce intensity. In the chaos of battle, a new figure appeared in the sky. Superman, his cape billowing as he dove toward the alien forces with the speed and power of a comet. He landed in the midst of a massive alien warship, smashing it to pieces with a single punch. The ground trembled beneath him as he took to the skies once again, hurling himself into the next wave of invaders. "Thank God he's here," Tony muttered as he turned his attention back to the battle. Superman's arrival had shifted the tides, his strength and speed making quick work of the alien forces that had begun to swarm Earth. But even as Superman took the fight to the skies, the Avengers knew this was only the beginning. The alien invaders were not just here to conquer, they were here for something more. And that something was hidden deep beneath the Earth's surface. "We need to figure out what they're after, and fast," Steve said, his voice filled with urgency. "If we don't, we'll be fighting this battle on two fronts." Iron Man's HUD flickered as he scanned the alien ships above. "I've got a bad feeling about this. They're not just here to destroy. Whatever they want, it's bigger than all of us." The battle raged on, and the Avengers and Superman fought valiantly, but the alien forces were relentless. Their numbers seemed endless, and their technology was beyond anything Earth had ever seen. Yet, amid the destruction and the rising chaos, the heroes knew one thing for sure: if they didn't unite, they would fall. The battle against the alien invaders raged on for hours, but the Avengers and Superman were beginning to feel the strain. The aliens were relentless, their technology far more advanced than anything Earth had ever encountered. Despite Superman's strength and the Avengers' combined might, it seemed as though the tide of battle was not shifting in their favor. Still, they fought on, determined to hold the line. But the cracks that Tony Stark had warned about began to widen. Iron Man was no stranger to tension with Captain America, but now, under the stress of battle, old wounds resurfaced with brutal force. As the two heroes found themselves working side by side, their differences became glaringly apparent. They had always been opposites: Iron Man, pragmatic and cynical; Captain America, idealistic and driven by an unshakable sense of duty. Yet, their bond had always held firm, until now. "Tony, I told you we'd handle this together," Steve shouted, blocking an alien strike with his shield. The force of the blow pushed him back, and he stumbled, barely regaining his footing. "I'm not the one who's falling behind." Stark shot back, a blast from his repulsor knocking an alien out of the sky. "You keep thinking you can save the world by playing hero, Steve. But this time, it's different." Steve's eyes flashed with frustration. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I'm doing what needs to be done." Tony shook his head, his voice cold and cutting. "You don't get it, do you? You're too focused on the fight, the battle. You're so sure that your way is the right way, that you're blind to everything else. In my future, that blind stubbornness—" He paused, his words hanging heavily in the air. "I didn't ask for a vision of the future, Tony," Steve snapped, his fists clenching as the weight of Tony's words hit home. "I'm doing what I've always done, fighting for what's right. And I will keep fighting, no matter what." The words stung, the underlying message unmistakable. Was Tony accusing him of something deeper? Had Steve's commitment to the cause blinded him to the consequences of his actions? Iron Man's warning continued to echo in his mind, like a dark cloud overshadowing his every decision. Meanwhile, Superman, still engaged in his own aerial battle with the alien ships, noticed the friction between the two heroes. He knew all too well the cost of divided loyalties, having faced similar struggles with his own team in the past. But now wasn't the time for doubts. He knew the real enemy was out there, waiting. The tension between Tony and Steve grew palpable, but neither had the luxury of time to truly confront it. As an alien warship hovered overhead, deploying more troops, Tony's face hardened with resolve. "We need to stop fighting each other before it's too late," he said through gritted teeth. "Because I'm telling you, Steve, the way we're heading, no one's going to come out of this one unscathed." Steve looked at Tony, his expression hardening. He wasn't sure if Stark was right. But one thing was certain: if they didn't put their differences aside, the alien invaders would finish what they had started. And the battle for Earth would be lost. The battle against the alien invaders was intensifying, but it was becoming clear that the heroes were no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting against time, and against each other. The friction between Captain America and Iron Man had reached a boiling point, their every move seeming to carry a weight of unspoken accusations and mistrust. Even as they fought side by side, it felt as though they were more divided than ever. And that division was beginning to take its toll on the entire team. As the alien forces continued to pour into the cities, the Avengers and Superman realized that their enemies were not just here to conquer, they were here to divide. Each strike from the invaders seemed calculated, designed to exploit the fractures within the group. Tensions between the Avengers had become so palpable that even the presence of Superman, normally a unifying force, couldn't shield them from the growing distrust. It was during one of the fiercest battles, when the team was spread thin, that everything changed. An emergency alert blared from Iron Man's suit as a deep tremor shook the ground beneath them. "There's a breach. The alien mothership, it's pulling something out of the ground," Tony called out, his voice sharp with urgency. "We've got to stop them before." Before he could finish his sentence, a flash of light erupted from the Earth, and a massive force field surrounded the alien mothership, preventing any attacks from hitting it. Suddenly, the team was cut off, and the alien army, more organized than before, advanced rapidly. And then, the unimaginable happened. As Cap and Iron Man regrouped with the rest of the team, trying to come up with a plan, a figure stepped out from the shadows. It was Black Widow, a trusted ally, one of their own. But something was wrong. She was not herself. Her eyes were empty, cold, as though she had been changed in a moment. "I'm sorry," Natasha said, her voice distant and emotionless, before she turned and activated the device hidden in her hand. A wave of energy shot out from her wrist, disabling the Avengers' communication systems, scrambling their technology. "What the hell are you doing?" Steve shouted, stepping forward, his shield raised in defense. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Natasha, their friend, betraying them in the most unimaginable way. "I didn't want to do this," Natasha replied, her tone mechanical. "But they promised me something I couldn't refuse. A world where things were different. Where the Avengers didn't tear themselves apart." Before Steve could react, she vanished into the shadows, leaving behind nothing but a trail of confusion and dread. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. Natasha was not acting alone. She had been compromised, manipulated by the aliens. But the betrayal was even more painful because she was one of their closest friends, someone they trusted without question. "Son of a..." Tony muttered, eyes wide with disbelief. "They've been playing us all along." Superman hovered above, looking down at the chaos. "We need to regroup," he said, his voice steady, though even he couldn't mask the weight of the betrayal. "Whatever they promised her, it's bigger than anything we've faced." The trust they had built, the foundation of their unity, had been shattered. And now, with one of their own turned against them, the true battle was just beginning. Could they still win against the invaders with their team fractured? Or was it already too late? The betrayal of Black Widow hit the Avengers harder than any alien weapon ever could. The team stood in stunned silence, each of them grappling with the enormity of what had just transpired. Natasha, one of their most trusted members, had turned against them, willingly aligning herself with the alien invaders. It was a blow that cut deep, one that seemed almost impossible to recover from. As the alien forces continued their assault, now bolstered by their new ally, the Avengers were left reeling. Their communications were scrambled, their unity fractured, and the growing distrust between Captain America and Iron Man had reached its breaking point. Superman, who had been fighting valiantly in the skies, landed among them, his face grim with the same realization that weighed heavily on their shoulders. "We can't win this fight divided," Superman said, his voice steady but full of urgency. "The alien forces are only getting stronger, and now they have one of you on their side. If we don't put our differences aside, it's over." Iron Man's eyes flicked over to Steve, his tone sharp as ever. "And you think we can just get along after everything that's happened? You heard what I said about your future, Steve. If you can't see that, we're doomed." Steve clenched his jaw, resisting the urge to snap back. "This isn't about the future, Tony. It's about right now. We have an alien invasion to stop. If we don't fight together, it doesn't matter what happens in the future." The silence between them was thick, but Superman's steady presence reminded them that they could no longer afford to bicker. The fate of the world rested on their shoulders, and every second they spent fighting amongst themselves was a second they couldn't afford to waste. It was then that Tony's suit beeped urgently. He glanced at the readout, his eyes widening in alarm. "Wait, hold on, there's something else happening. The alien mothership, it's preparing for something massive. They're going to launch an all-out assault with everything they've got." "This could be the final strike," Steve said, his voice grim but resolute. "We need a plan, and we need it fast." Superman stepped forward, his eyes scanning the battlefield. "If we can get inside their mothership, we can shut down whatever they're planning. But we'll need to get close. I can provide the distraction in the air, but you too," he turned to Iron Man and Captain America. "You'll need to work together to infiltrate their ship and disable their weapons. No more egos. No more old wounds." Iron Man and Captain America exchanged a long, loaded look. There was still tension, but the reality of the situation was undeniable. They needed each other. They needed to work as one. Without a second word, they nodded in unison, silently agreeing to set their differences aside, for the moment. With Superman leading the charge, drawing the alien forces' attention to the skies, Iron Man and Captain America formed an unlikely alliance, working together with a unity they hadn't shared in years. Stark's suit provided the firepower and technology needed to break into the mothership's defenses, while Steve's tactical brilliance and unmatched combat skills guided them through the alien ranks. As they infiltrated the mothership's interior, Iron Man hacked into the alien systems, while Captain America led the charge through waves of alien soldiers. Every strike, every move, felt like a dance between old friends, fighting not just for survival, but for redemption. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of near-death encounters, they reached the heart of the mothership, the control center where the alien leaders were preparing to launch their final assault. With no time to lose, Tony and Steve worked in perfect synchrony, their combined efforts bringing down the ship's power grid just as the countdown reached its final moments. The mothership erupted in a burst of energy, and the remaining alien forces began to retreat, their invasion thwarted. The battle was over. Exhausted but victorious, the Avengers and Superman regrouped, the sky above them slowly clearing of the alien ships. The world had been saved, but the cost was clear. The cracks in their unity still remained, but they had proven that, when it mattered most, they could come together, even if only for a moment. Superman looked at Iron Man and Captain America, his expression one of quiet approval. "You did it. Together." Tony, still catching his breath, gave Steve a sidelong glance. "Yeah, well, don't get used to it." Steve's lips twitched into a reluctant smile. "We'll see." For now, the battle had been won. But the future, the one Tony had warned them about, loomed large. And while they had put aside their differences to save the world, the question remained, could they truly rebuild the trust they had lost? Or would the wounds of the past forever haunt them? Only time would tell.